Traffic fatalities happen in every community across America, including mine, Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. Kaulana Werner was 19 years old and was killed on Farrington Highway, a state highway, in front of his home in Nanakuli on the island of Oahu, where decades of divestment meant that there was no safe sidewalks for pedestrians. This tragedy plays over every day, especially in underserved communities like his. We know that indigenous communities and rural communities continue to have disproportionately high traffic fatalities because of the lack of infrastructure and focus on underserved communities in those investments. This problem continues to grow in Hawaii as well. And in my home state, traffic fatalities have increased 45% from 2021 to 2022, and Hawaii consistently has one of the highest per capita pedestrian fatality rates and an even higher elderly pedestrian death rate. Although Hawaii has decreased its per capita pedestrian fatality rate in recent years, there's more work that needs to be done. We know that there must be increased investment in underserved communities so that we can prioritize planning and investment in safety to neighborhoods that have had decades of divestment. And while the federal government and the U.S. Department of Transportation has embraced a new path forward on roadway design to reduce traffic fatalities, we know that more must be done. I guess my question would be directed to either Ms. Clegg or Mr. Wilson. Interested in your perspective on under-resourced communities, such as indigenous or rural communities, which have some of the highest per capita traffic fatality rates, and how can we better serve the needs of those communities, and what are you seeing in Louisiana or other communities that are underserved or often misrepresented?
Thank you for that question. I was just talking about this issue with Ed Sniffen from your state at a meeting in Dallas. What state DOTs can do is provide technical assistance to those underserviced and undersourced communities and assist them in the planning, delivery, and the operations after it's built using the best practices and the things that we know that are happening. I call your attention to the Safe Streets for All program that state DOTs are not eligible to receive, but in my state and other states, and I've shared this with Ed Sniffen, as I said, we are supporting and helping those communities write the grants and build the capacity to be able to make the investments, and then we'll support them in the proper structuring and bidding of that project. The other piece that we do is when it comes to looking at the resources that are allocated in IIJA, we are exceeding the 15%, for example, on bridges, and are going to be spending about 30% on those bridges that are outside of my program and outside of my authority. Whether it's the road transfer program that we are divesting or the local road assistance program, we would love to be able to make more investments because regardless of what road you're on, if a kid dies on it, it's a problem. If there's a crash on it, it's a problem. And being transparent and being coordinated and collaborative in delivering infrastructure is absolutely the smart thing to do.
Thank you. Same question for Ms. Clegg. Is she on virtually?
She's not on.
She's not on. Okay. You know, I guess I'll use the balance of my time to continue the conversation with Mr. Wilson. Maybe same would be said, I guess, for Louisiana. Many of Hawaii's coastal highways are right next to the ocean, are going to suffer from climate change, are already suffering from climate change and rising sea levels. In the last 28 seconds, what's Louisiana doing to address this? Are we moving roads inland? How are we addressing it?
We are investing in a resilient infrastructure, and IIJA actually created programs that will allow states to be able to make those investments, to elevate those roads, to convert them to some other type of asset that can be used And we're also thinking about it from a watershed perspective. And so we're spending over $1.2 billion to understand not just the sea level rise issue, but how do we manage water in general? Because we will be in a city and see roads go underwater. And so whether it's roadway elevation or improved drainage, looking at how we reinstall culverts and restore the public work elements, that's one of the things I'm most excited about in IIJA, is that it did not designate it just for one type of improvement. It's a comprehensive infrastructure investment program, and that is going to be valuable, whether you're on a bicycle lane and you have standing water at the side of the road, or you have grates that need to be converted so that you can safely ride over them, or on sidewalks. It's absolutely essential. So climate change is real, it's an impact, and it will have implications of safety in spontaneous situations when people will lose their lives, unfortunately, if we don't pay attention to it.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the relationship between Louisiana and Hawaii.
He's trying to get me out there, and if my wife lets me, I'm going.
All right, thank you. Mahalo, Madam Chair. I yield back my time.